Hey y'all, it's Kelly. I just randomly decided to do a walk right now and just see what I find right where I am right now. So, which will be fun. I've been kind of scoping out a couple different things to show y'all, and I know I haven't done a walk in a while, so it is late April, so things have gotten bigger and greener in California, and crazy enough, unlike where I'm from in the South, things don't keep getting bigger and greener and greener and greener. They soon will die back and turn brown and be pretty different here, and that's something that it still baffles me that it's may not rain anymore. Maybe one more time. Or maybe like a random freak thunderstorm, depending on where you are in the Sierras. Apparently, like, the high Sierras get them somewhat in the summer. Not a ton of rain with them, though. And sometimes the foothills get that, too. So, yeah. So I'm gonna go to the Buckeye gathering next week. It's like a Earth Skills gathering that's in the Sierra foothills near Chico, California, on Concow Lake. I went there last year and drew a ton of plants and made a plant list with my friend Luke Learning Deer, who lives in North Carolina, but he was out here for a year doing a program, and it was really nice because that's something I've done with him before out east, and he's like a mentor of mine. So I'm excited to go back and see if I can add to that list, which is also a practice that some of my teachers do in North Carolina. Make lists every year of things they see at the different little community gatherings, and it's kind of fun to see what is there the next year or not, and what shifts and changes, and anyways. So first plant that I'm seeing right here that's pretty fully leafed out now, Buckeye, which is an awesome plant. That this is a different species of Buckeye than what we have out east, but this is the California Buckeye, so it's pretty easy to ID it if you learn plants like in the east, because it's just that similar palmate leaf, resembling sort of marijuana, but it's not. And that's like a whole leaf, if you are familiar with botany. These are all the leaflets. So Buckeye, there's no fruit. I mean, this is a pretty big tree. I noticed that the Buckeye in California, it seems like the seeds are slightly bigger than the ones out east. They just look a little different, but they're still like these, I don't know, I don't see any on the ground that are like left over from the fall, but these big, like nut-like balls that are not edible, although I've heard some people say that maybe there's edible with many washes of water. I've heard people say that it's native folks in certain places, but I really don't know where the research is for this, would use it to stun fish. I'm pretty sure that was some Buckeye seeds. And I always kind of notice it not really being a giant tree, at least out here. Like, often I do see it many stalked like this, although this was probably a bigger tree before, and then either a fire got it or it got cut down and it started sprouting again. But I've never seen it like a huge trunked tree, like this black oak and this Incense Cedar. They're not that big either, but they're like one singular trunk, and that's just not that common for Buckeye. Although I was at Table Mountain, this really interesting place in the foothills a couple weeks ago that is sort of half in the foothills, half in the Central Valley. It's like a chunk of land that kind of comes out, and it was formed by a big volcanic overflow, and so the soil there is really crazy, just igneous rock that yeah, has really beautiful flowers and some really interesting mixes of different plants there that you would maybe not find together, and they maintain it pretty well so that the native plants are thriving. And I saw in one area on the mountain that was burned maybe a couple years ago, there was a bunch of buckeyes and they were sprouting back. Like the main trunk was dead, and then there was a bunch of sprouts coming from the bottom of where the dead tree was. And there was a couple really big ones there. The main trunks of some kind of near water, and it's pretty steep to hike down to this spot where these were, so I don't know, maybe hadn't been cut down in a long time. So I don't know what else to say about buckeyes. Like, I can't remember if they like prefer wet or certain soils or shade or what. Pretty beautiful canopy. I'm pretty sure out east they are one of the first things to leaf out. Oh, here if it's really hot summer, their leaves will all drop in the middle of summer, which is not something that the East Coast buckeyes do. Yeah, it's just that's like an adaptation to this type of climate where it's sort of Mediterranean. It's wet in the winter and dry in the summer and hot. Here it gets pretty darn hot, so but no humidity because of no rain, so that's kind of cool. So that's Buckeye, and then the tree here that I was just talking about, Incense Cedar. It's taken me a while to like get familiar with all these different things we call cedar. I'm starting to get a grapple on it. But Incense Cedar grows on the West Coast, a lot in California, and is okay, so there's the Western Red Cedar, and there's Incense Cedar, and there's other cedars too on the West Coast, but this is not a thuja, which is what the Western Red Cedar is, which is the one that is used for basketry. Is like considered the sacred tree for all these different reasons: food, medicine, fiber, clothing, by lots of different groups of people traditionally up and down the West Coast into Alaska, I believe. But Incense Cedar grows in some overlapping areas as Western Red Cedar, but in the Sierra foothills, the Western Red Cedar does not grow. Only Incense Cedar. So, well, the only cypress, well, I don't know if it's the only, but as far as I know, the main cypress family, I mean, there's sequoias planted, I guess, right here. There's sequoias, too. Well, they're not in the cypress family, are they? I think they're in the Taxaceae. I need to look that up. I'm pretty sure they're in the same family as redwood. Anyways, my mind sometimes. Incense Cedar is called, I think it's Calocedrus, means that's the genus. Decurrens is the species, but Calocedrus means California cedars. I kind of like looked this up a couple years ago and just like kind of geeked out about it because I was trying to distinguish the two apart from each other and trying to just like get it, you know, because sometimes it just takes both observing it in the field and like actually looking up a bunch of shit about each plant to really try to understand why they live where they live and what they look like, and yeah, what their differences are. So Incense Cedar's bark is not really used as much for basketry. Kind of see it there. As far as I know, but you know, yeah. And it's a slightly grayer bark too. and it has a different sort of branching structure than Western red cedar. Western red cedar is a little more elegantly drooping, and its bark is like browner, I feel like, and yeah, you could actually just imagine the bark being able to pull off. I'm not going to explain how to make harvest bark though off of Western red cedar for basketry, because I just feel like it's overused, and those trees are kind of having a hard time right now from logging in the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, but we're talking about incense cedar right now, not Western red cedar really, but yeah, it's relevant. I was told that because of fire suppression, this tree's a lot more abundant here, and other trees have been suppressed, like sugar pine, for example, which was a really important tree to the native folks that lived here, Nanisian, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like the gum of the tree, and they actually harvested the pine nuts from that tree here, and had all these sort of techniques for getting the pine cones down. They're the longest pine. There's none right here, but they're the longest, I don't think. Yeah, we're not quite at the right elevation. They used to go a lot lower in elevation, and now they are a lot higher up. And part of that might be global warming, but also because of fire suppression, other trees have become more dominant, including incense cedar. And so that's kind of interesting. Oaks are also having a harder time because of fire suppression and not having the alkalinity of ashes from that. And that's a whole other conversation, and it's pretty fascinating to me, especially because here fire suppression hasn't been happening as long as it has out east, and so people are so much more used to how the forest is now there, and how much we've done to change it. It's become a lot more normalized, but here things have been shifting so fast alongside climate change that yeah, there's more recent evidence of, or more recent shifts and changes that people have been able to witness, from what humans have been doing here. Like, it's just crazy. So incense cedar smells amazing. I'm not sure about using it for building, but my friend who lives around here who builds houses said that it's popular to use at the sawmill. So, but I don't really use it for medicine, although I'm sure it would be really great for things that other plants in this family are used for. Antifungal properties and burning, and yeah, so, and what's easy to walk to from here? There's a bunch of Scotch Broom here that, I just got lightheaded from standing up. That's an invasive plant that is in flower right now. It's really pretty. It's in the pea family. And it is crazy. It's one of those that goes to seed, and it has like a bajillion seeds and goes everywhere, and a lot of people spend a lot of time cutting it, burning it, pulling it up, trying to catch it before it goes to seed. But I don't know, I totally get what they're doing is kind of hard for native plants. This is always the thing that I think about with invasive plants, but they are growing on all these old mining sites though that are here, and rehabilitating the really abused soil from and this area was heavily mined. This is the Nevada City or Nevada County area, the Sierra Foothills, the county that Nevada City and Grass Valley is in. So this is where I've been lately, and Kind of has a little bit of a smell, but it's a nitrogen fixer, and it stabilizes soil, and it just helps remediate soil. So in some ways, I have a friend that owns part of an old mine, just like his property kind of overlapped with it, and he's like freaking out about it, trying to pull up his Scotch Broom, and I'm just like, maybe it's better if you leave it, actually. But I mean, I've heard that you can weave with it, but I haven't tried. And then last year I taught at kids camp with a friend, like a kids nature camp, and we did natural dyeing with Scotch Broom, and it was really beautiful. I have a scarf I could pull out somewhere that is dyed with it, but it's like a yellowish color without like an iron mordant, but I used in some rusty stuff to create an iron mordant that then shifted the color to be this olive green, which was really cool. And so it's one use for it, natural dyes, so that's kind of cool. What else do we have here? I'm getting eaten up by mosquitoes right now. It's still not as bad as Appalachia or when I've been in Minnesota, but interesting mix of flowers. There's this yellow flower here. I'm not sure the species. It's like I feel like I should know this. And someone just maybe have mentioned it to me, but it's one of these Mariposa lilies around here. There's a bunch of different species, but I don't know which, and maybe we'll look it up actually later today, and maybe I'll put it in the notes for this video. It's all over the yard here. There's a slack line. It's just been flowering like crazy recently, and this got mowed, and then more of them flowered after the mowing. And also here is this vetch that is also in the pea family, and yeah, another thing you see coming up all over the place and all over the country. I've kind of seen versions of this, so I think it's not native, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure vetch is not native, but it's everywhere here. Some more Scotch Broom not flowering. There's like a baby Madrone tree right here. Kind of cool to see it like this, little young leaves. This is a baby Madrone tree. A lot of the plants in the spring here have such succulent leaves that just feel so soft and like tender. Madrone, which I have maybe talked about in another video, or maybe I wrote something about it, or both, I don't know, but it's in the Ericaceae family. It's a tree here in the west, on the west coast, and the Ericaceae is the heath family, the same family as sourwood and blueberry and manzanita, and yeah, it usually has like a red bark when it's full grown, and there's a bunch of it over there. Probably can't tell that easily from the distance. There's one there. You can walk up to it. Yeah, it usually has this reddish orange bark. There's tons of poison oak here, actually. That I don't really get it though, so I guess I freak out about it, but I don't get it. But sometimes you just get it all of a sudden when you thought you didn't. Poison oak is the cousin of poison ivy, and just touched me. Wow, it's everywhere in the honeysuckle, which seems familiar, right? If you're from the east, honeysuckle can commonly grow with poison oak. Although the honeysuckle here doesn't seem like crazy invasive like it is out east. So here's a Madrone. Pretty beautiful. when it gets really older, all this will peel off, and manzanita will kind of do that too. It'll get really red and smooth. I'd like to make some spoons out of it sometime, but I haven't yet. There is tan oak in the woods over here, but getting eaten up by mosquitoes, and it's like more moist over there, so that would be cool to kind of talk about sometime. I really like that tree. Maybe I'll go towards the little garden that's here that's kind of overgrown, and look at a couple things. Here's Blackberry, the native blackberry of this area. Really sweet, nice berries, fat berries. It's really cool. They're so abundant here. Some cleavers. There's 2 different types of cleavers right here. One there. And, well, I think they're 2 different types. It looks like it, but I'm not sure actually. May not be. So I might have shown y'all that one before, or you probably know it already. Pretty common one, cleavers. And I'm ready to get in the woods. Well, I'm in the woods, but in like at someone's house. Another Madrone that is planted. Pretty. Black oak. Should go to my friend's place around here who has all these different oaks on her land, and a bunch of them are hybrid oaks, like oracle oak. It's really cool. Look at this wisteria. This is something I would never plant out east because it's pretty invasive. It doesn't get too invasive here. Look at all these bees. So beautiful. It's also in the pea family, Fabaceae. Wow. I don't know if the sound's really picking up the bees. I feel like I should bring my little recorder out here that I have for sound and record them. It smells so amazing. Pretty sure it's poisonous, so I don't really do anything with it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But if I'm not 100% sure, then I don't do anything with it. There's some mint here. It smells kind of like apple mint, actually, which is one of my favorites to use for bitters. Plantain. Here, lots of plantain, which will all die soon. Crazy here, you just have like a short window to harvest things like this. At least you can just like be lazy about it and come back later. Some stuff, obviously, not everything, but things like plantain you can. There's some rosemary that needs to be freed from some grass, but it kind of flowers here all winter, which is crazy to me. Some wild lettuce in the garden. Which I see east and west. She has that white, I don't know if you can see it with my camera, and since I can't see the screen, flip it back around from like face me mode. I can't tell if it's focused or not, but it has that what is it called? White stuff. Not resin, but I can't think of it right now. But something that you find in like lettuces, including cultivated. I think is it lactuca or laccut? I can't pronounce the genus right now, but in the Asteraceae family, yeah, they all have that milking, I don't know why I can't think of it right now, but yeah, whatever that stuff is, can be used for pain, making a pain formula. Seven Song has told me about how he uses it. I should start using it too. I haven't really been that much, but juicing this plant and then tincturing that juice, actually, and using it as a mild kind of like I have taken a couple classes on this, like how it can really help with opioid addiction, by the way that it interacts in the body and the opioid receptors. Really fascinating, and I'd like to do more research on that, but so yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of herbs that are really that great for pain, like really good for pain. Valerian is another one that can be pretty good. California poppy, but like often, or cannabis, but things kind of can distract from pain, but like really relieving pain is tricky. So there's some other things here, like some mustards, some docks. Here's a dock. Maybe it's Obtusifolius rumex, but it looks like it to me, but you know, there's a lot of rumexes. Here's a bigger one. This is one of the first plants I ever learned when I lived in New Hampshire and I was first starting to hone in on herbs and like just plants more. I mean, I grew up with it, but yeah, I wasn't really taught by my family wild plants too much. So when I went and worked on a farm in New Hampshire, I was pulling up things like this dock all the time and decided to sign up for this apprenticeship with this woman on Sundays, and that was one of the first plants she taught me, and then I would go to the farm and dig it up and do stuff with it after that, so kind of cool. There's more stuff I could show you, but I'm thinking I might do another video at the Yuba River. I've been wanting to do that and I just haven't gotten to it yet. Plus it's kind of weird if there's people around and I'm walking around on the trail and talking to myself. So yeah, that's just a little glimpse of some plants where I am right now. And next week I'll be in another part of the Sierra foothills, and maybe I'll do a video there, or definitely make another list like I mentioned. And possibly after that I will be going to Colorado for the Good Medicine Confluence if I can get a ticket. And I'm a little like excited. I'm excited for it, but also a little, yeah, travel my life. I would be very excited to cross the Great Basin though and stay a night there on the way. So we'll see. Thanks for watching, and hope that there was something useful. There's so many lizards everywhere. They're everywhere. So hopefully there was something useful in the video for you. Thanks.